If you're just joining us, we're following breaking news. We learned a short time ago from President Trump in a tweet that he and the First Lady Melania Trump have both tested positive for COVID-19. The president said he and the First Lady will quarantine immediately, and that incubation period can be 14 days for any symptoms if they are going to appear to occur. So that would most likely be the length of the quarantine. Our Phil Blauer is standing by at the news feed as we continue our coverage and look at the information just flowing in.
Yeah, let's look at the tweet. First of all, Kathleen, came out just before 10 o'clock tonight. First Lady of the U.S. and I tested positive for COVID-19. We'll begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together. I mean, this was the letter that came in. I'm going to blow this up just a little bit here for people at home. This is from the White House doctor, Sean Conley, and he said, "This evening I received confirmation both the President and First Lady have tested positive for the virus. They're both doing well at this time, and they plan to remain at home within the White House during their convalescence. The White House medical team and I will maintain a vigilant watch. I appreciate the support provided by some of the country's greatest medical professionals and institutions. Rest assured, I expect the President to continue carrying out his duties without disruption while recovering, and I'll keep you updated on any future developments." So sort of the official word tonight, not only coming from the President, but also from the White House doctor. And Kathleen, not seen any tweets or anything from either Mike Pence or Nancy Pelosi or anybody else in government at this hour, so I'm still looking for those.
Yeah, it just happened about 30 minutes ago, the president making that announcement on his own, first on Twitter. Joining us now on the phone to try and sort some of this out for us is Dr. Wendy Patrick, our Fox 5 legal analyst. Wendy, thank you for giving us your time tonight.
Oh, absolutely. This is an important story.
It sure is, and I'm curious, from a bird's eye view as you're looking down at this with your legal eye, what is your initial reaction and how the country should absorb this in terms of what may play out here?
The president is a fighter, and you just heard in his tweet he's going to continue to carry out his duties. What we don't know at this point is whether he is experiencing any symptoms. Remember, most people that have it and don't know are asymptomatic. The very first thing I thought was, having watched the debate the other night, I thought he looked a little irritable, wondered if maybe that he wasn't experiencing symptoms then. But we haven't heard anything about that. The president and the First Lady, they are not the first couple to be able to have this. I mean, Boris Johnson unfortunately had it. Remember, Prince Charles has had it. Most people that have it pull through. We're not aware of any pre-existing conditions that he or the First Lady have. There's certainly no indication in his tweet that he is feeling badly. Of course, you wonder whether he would admit that, but it's probably the case because he hasn't been in a bunker. He hasn't been in his basement. He's been out and about on the campaign trail. People around him have been tested constantly. You wonder whether or not it's just not going to be something that he's going to work through. Maybe for a couple of weeks he doesn't have any.
In terms of running the country, though, he is 74 years old, and that is a high-risk group when it comes to COVID-19. And just today, we announced that 9 states are up to their highest hospitalizations since May. So it's still very active out there, and we don't know how it affects each person. As President of the United States, what happens here in terms of the line of succession if he does fall ill?
Well, obviously we don't know that Mike Pence has it, and we also know that everybody around he and the First Lady have been constantly tested, and those around the Vice President have been constantly tested also. What we'll probably do now is closely monitor the situation, literally day by day, to see how he's feeling. And the doctor will probably be very transparent about that as well because of exactly your question. We're worried now as to what's going to happen. Because we've only heard about a positive test within the last half hour, what we don't know is how serious it is, whether or not the quarantine is going to include treatment. When and if he does end up in a hospital or end up getting treatment, we'll know that immediately. But for now, he's in good spirits, and he is going to carry on as best he can, of course, under quarantine.
And we also know that the president is pretty famous along with his staff there in the West Wing, even though, as you mentioned, they are tested a lot. They also don't follow his own CDC guidelines in mask wearing and social distancing necessarily. Do you see this changing any of the practices that the president is doing outwardly or his recommendations to the American people?
I think it definitely will impact the way he feels about the contagion factor, because while it's true that many go maskless in the West Wing, it's also true that they're tested constantly. What this shows, it really serves as an example of how contagious this virus is, even when everybody around you is constantly being tested. We know it can be airborne, it's on surfaces, we're constantly learning more about it. But traveling on something like Air Force One with someone who's infected, if that's how he received it, goes to show this enclosed space problem, in addition to being tested, in addition to not knowing when the people around you may have picked it up. This may, in fact, contribute to how he picked it up, even though he was being as careful as he was. So, yes, I think it is going to impact the precautions he and his staff take from now on.
Well, Wendy Patrick, we certainly appreciate your time and your insight as we try to work our way through this unprecedented time. And I'm certainly not a historian, Wendy, and before I bid you farewell, I'm not going to pretend to be one on TV. Is there any precedent for a president potentially falling ill in this fashion in recent memory? I certainly not in my lifetime can recall it.
No, and that's a great point that you bring up, because so much about the way this virus is contracted, the way that the speed with which it seems to spread, this is unprecedented. So this situation is as well. Our prayers are with he and Melania, and we are wishing them a speedy recovery.
Wendy Patrick, thank you so much for your time. As this breaking story just happened some 37 minutes ago, we appreciate you chiming in.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.